911. What are you? That's me! That's me! That's me!
Whoa, 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 everybody. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real vile time, guys. And it's our back to school special. Back to school, school, cool for school. Boo, 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 boo. So, of course, it's the G to the E to the R to the M. The T stands for the. I'm about to rip it up in modern ways. So, you know it's got to be Mr. Germ T. Ripper, along with my fabulous co-host, the Tower of the Hour, the Princess of Power, Killer Kelli Miller. What's up, Killer?
Hey, how is everybody?
How is everybody indeed? And of course, we can't go anywhere without our lovely and talented Prime Minister Sinister, Mr. Ruthless Chris. Ruthless, what's going on with you, baby doll?
Oh, just busy being sweet. How about yourself?
Sweet and sour. Ups and downs like everybody else, drama, fun, excitement, like a great genre movie all rolled into one week. Have you guys been doing anything crazy, anything fun, or just same old?
No, we went Toledo had a Taco Wars festival downtown. We went to that. We didn't stay there long, but because the lines were fucking stupid.
Yeah, the lines were like the size of like waiting at a roller coaster for an amusement park just to get some fucking tacos. Like the whole gimmick was, you're supposed to go from food truck to food truck, try a bunch of them and decide which one you like best. But after seeing the lines, we just went to one and ordered enough to eat and then dip because it started getting crazy.
Yeah, we went to a bar for a minute after that and then watched some mariachi dancers or Spanish dancers from the bar and then left. Went and had a fire at my house, and then the next day we went camping. Found a fucking beautiful little camp spot. It was, Waterville, Ohio. Had a cool little shanty right on the fucking river.
Yeah, a little fire pit, had a little grill, a little shanty. We were right on the river. It was nice and private. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then last night we went and seen They Live at the theater for the 35th anniversary, which that was awesome to see in the theater. I'm very happy we made it to that.
And we're going to see Christine next week. They're doing Christine next week, so we're going to go
Sunday.
see that too. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, it's one of the only Carpenter movies I've still yet to see. So my first time will be will be at the theater. So I kind of dig that. Because up until yesterday, the only John Carpenter movie I actually saw in theaters was Ghosts of Mars.
Halloween. You've seen Halloween.
Oh yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't even almost encompass that just because it's like so iconic. You almost it's just Halloween. You don't even think about John Carpenter on that. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm full of shit. I went and saw The Thing last year. When they did the 40th anniversary for that. So yeah. But yeah, looking
Chris. You're full of shit.
I'm pretty sure I have a learning disability, I'm not that smart, that's all.
It's okay. You can be full of shit because I am not. I got all the shit out of me 2 seconds before starting to record. So that's it's A-okay if one of us has poop in them.
Yeah, we did start recording about 3 minutes late so he could get the easy one out,
Sounds like both of you got one out before we started.
I got one out too. So that was 10 minutes before we started. So
mudslide,
full of
nice
shit. Mudslide.
Yeah, I am full of shit. I'm sorry.
Mudslide. Mudsliding into back to school. Yes, it's our back to school special. We will be talking mainly about our big spoiler movie for this episode is 2011's directed by Joseph Kahn, super meta, breaking the fourth wall, wacky genre film Detention. There's a lot going on in this movie, and I thought that I'd seen it before, but evidently I didn't, and I can't wait to get around to talking about this brilliant horror comedy. But in the meantime, let's talk about what other movies we've been watching that are back to school oriented. Ruthless Chris, what you got for us, baby?
The first one I'm going to talk about, I literally just finished watching right before we got done recording, and it's a mean-spirited, pretty fucked up movie. It's called The Dead Ones, 2020, directed by Jeremy Kasten. I kind of fell on this one because I had seen some of his previous movies, and they were like really interesting. Like he did the Attic Expeditions, that one with Jeffrey Combs and Seth Green and all that. That one was pretty cool. It was like a little psychological thriller. He made a really cool vampire movie called The Thirst that I picked up randomly out of a dollar bin, and I enjoyed. So while I was looking for school-themed horror, this one kind of came up while I was typing in Detention in my Tubi bar. Like it just kind of came up as part of the search. So I've added it, in my queue, and I was like, I'll check that one out too. This one is a high concept art film with no money. So I'm trying to think about how to talk about it because it's part of it's a mystery, but what you have is a group of students. There's an over voice of like, you did this to the school, now go clean it up. And you think that they've like vandalized the school and they get locked in the school overnight and it's trashed and they got to clean it up. Well, you start getting the idea that there's something more supernatural going on. These four guys that are four people show up in trench coats and gas masks, are decorating skulls and knives and shit, and they call themselves the Four Horsemen, and they're shooting the school up.
Shit.
This one has a lot of trigger warnings in it, like there's children that get killed in this, school shootings, obviously. This is a really mean-spirited fucking movie. Like it was downright gnarly. But at the same token, it not having a budget really like took me out of it because it relied really heavily on CGI, and the CGI was not good. The acting was pretty bad all across the board. There was some really cool ideas going on in it. Like, the overall storyline, even though I was able to figure out pretty quick what was going on because it was supposed to be a kind of a mystery, but the writing was on the wall pretty quick if you've seen a few movies like this. But it's if it had some more money and maybe had more talented people behind it, this could have probably really been something. But because of the silly CGI, the CGI is bad. Like they made it on like their Tandy in 1992 or something. Because of that, I'm gonna lower the score a little bit. I do think it's worth watching because it is an interesting fucking movie. They took some really, really big swings and like maybe half of them landed. But they did try to do some cool stuff with this thing. So I would not recommend it. Just know you're going into an art house film, B, that had no money, and you're just going to have to put up with some really ridiculous CGI. But C, there's like a lot of fucking heart to it. Like there was some cool ideas, some cool storylines. So I would recommend it. I give this thing about 2.5 to a light 3 stars. You guys seen The Dead Ones at all?
Nope, I have not.
I have, and it took me a couple of seconds to click because the name did sound familiar, and then everything that you were saying sounded very familiar. Everything you said is true. It has a lot of things that could have been great, had a lot of potential, but with such a low budget, it just wasn't. It wasn't enjoyable to watch for the majority of it. The low budget, the bad special effects, the special effects that were not special at all. The very stiff acting. I don't know. Exactly what you said though. If it had a bigger budget, this could have been a good movie, but it didn't, so it wasn't. Once again though, just like you said, I give it 2.5 stars. If where's The Dead Ones streaming?
Tubi,
of course.
Everything's on fucking Tubi.
Tubi, of course.
We're starting to turn into the Tubi podcast.
Yeah. I'm sure there's got to be one out there already, but if not, we will cover that ground.
Yeah, they should.
What's up, Tubi?
What up, Tubi?
Give us that Tubi money. Give us that Tubi money. Yeah, so 2.5 stars for me as well. I usually want to check out movies distributed by Artsploitation, and this is one of them. And it's not horrible, but it's not good either. But let's keep the train chugging down the tracks. And Killer Kelli Miller, what you got for us, baby?
All right, this one I watched. This one I actually watched today. It's a new one that's on Shudder. I think it literally just came out within the past couple days. It's the Perpetrator. I wanted to like this. Like on paper, it sounded like something that's up my alley. It looked witchy. It looked like, but it didn't hit the mark for me. This follows Johnny. She's like a troubled teen. She's 17. She's breaking into the houses, stealing shit, and she's set to go live with her estranged aunt, Hildy, who was played by Alicia Silverstone. And so that was kind of cool. But
I've seen her pop up in a few things lately. It seems like she's really trying to get back into it. She was in some other horror movie I watched the other day.
Yeah, she was good in this one, but she was kind of witchy right off the rip. You could tell like there's something witchy about this lady. And then on Johnny's 18th birthday, her aunt kind of gives her this like weird transition called like the forevering or whatever, and it kind of like gives her some weird supernatural powers, like not exactly witch-like, but she can like feel empathy for like other people. She can like feel a lot of shit. This town that she moved into also has a lot of missing girls. So like her and her friends who also have, I think went on this forevering or whatever, are set out on a quest to find some of these missing girls. This movie didn't do it for me because it seemed like it had so many little like side plots and shit that weren't working together. Like it just didn't really hold my attention as much as I'd have liked it to. It started out like it was kind of strong, but it was, I don't know, kind of all over the place. I didn't hate it though. Maybe I'll give it another try. A 3.5. I don't know. But
3.5 is a pretty good rating.
Maybe a 3. I don't know. Just because like the imagery was good, it seemed like it was going somewhere, but maybe I just wasn't giving it my full attention, which I kind of wasn't. It just wasn't gripping me. And I drew this. While I was watching it, while I was doodling, I was like, it just, I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
You had to give it your full attention.
Yeah, I tried though. Like I sat there for like the first half hour and it just wasn't, and I don't know. I started getting
I think that's an impressive doodle. And I like the title of Perpetrator, and that you gave it a 3.5 definitely piques my interest. And hell, it's on Shudder, so if you got Shudder, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it one more chance, but like I said with the subplots, it got a little confusing at times, like, wait, what is happening over here? There's like some weird side stories going on that don't all eventually like commingle like you'd think they would. I don't know.
Fair enough. Chris, I'm guessing you haven't seen The Perpetrator yet?
Nope.
Oh, and it is a school movie because it all takes place like throughout this high school. All the girls are missing in the high school. She's in this new like boarding school. I should have mentioned more about the school that she's at rather than just living with her
Kelly.
aunt. It is the theme. We are back to school this week, right? None of us go to school or have kids.
None of us fucking are because we're old as shit. But, people are. There's some people that do school things.
People have kids.
They're back.
Maybe back to school.
I doubt the hip kids are listening to us, but their parents probably are.
Maybe.
Well, in the meantime, I've been watching the first movie I want to talk about people that are probably in school. I think they're in some sort of school at one point or another. Is 1997's teen slasher I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I know that we've already talked about this before. You talked about this, Chris.
I did.
But I don't remember watching this since it first came out. And it always gets lumped in with Scream and other teen slashers of the time. But like it doesn't have that meta like self-awareness that Scream does. Like Scream has that sort of very smart aesthetic to it. Although I Know What You Did Last Summer, what it did make me think of, like if they had leaned into more of an artistic cinematography, like if the art director or whatever leaned more into an artistic way of shooting, it came across as a very giallo, because you got the black glove killer, you've got the face covered, and there's kind of a mystery, although the whole time you know who the killer is, kind of. There's a little bit of a twist, and I actually enjoyed it more, not, automatically lumping it into Scream and Valentine and Urban Legends, and just sort of watching it by itself. But as far as late 90s teen slasher films go, I did find it enjoyable, and I'm glad that I watched it. And I'm glad that your friend Mike, our friend Mike, sent it to me in a box of movies. So shout out to Mike.
That's how I got it too. How many fucking copies of that movie does he fucking own?
Is he just sending fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer to watch?
Like the fucking 3-pack. Because remember, I ended up in previous episodes going through all fucking 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned for him.
Got any more of that, Mike?
How do you have so many copies of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and he gives them out for free because does he work for a movie distribution company? Do you know? Is that his shoot job?
No, he works at a factory.
Okay.
A movie factory?
No.
A movie factory, baby. Well, I
honestly don't. He's probably listening to this, and I'm butchering what he even does for a living. I'm sorry, Mike. He actually does listen to this.
He's a very swell fella, and I really appreciate the box of movies he sent me. I actually gave this a 3.5, and I would rewatch it. He also sent me the sequel, which I've never seen. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So I'm actually kind of yeah.
Do it. It's so bad, but it's so entertaining.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm actually looking forward to checking it out.
And Jeffrey Combs alone. I mean, those two, their little cameos make it worth watching on its own. But
fair enough.
I haven't seen the second one. It's so goddamn long. I might need to watch that. Mike, send me part 2. No,
well, if you want to check out I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997's, directed by Jill Gillespie. It is streaming on Hulu and MGM Plus. So definitely check it out. Get around to that. School's cool. Ghoul school. Get back to school with some ghouls. And Ruthless Chris, what do you got to talk about next, baby?
Ghouls.
So I wanted to do something kind of outside the box a little bit. I remembered buying this DVD. I was a really heavy DVD collector for a while. And I remember watching this movie that really fit the theme. And I just remember it being really weird, but I kind of liked it. So I decided to revisit it. I went and I dug out my DVD collection because it wasn't streaming anywhere. This is a Dutch film called The Substitute, not the Corbin Bernstein Substitute or Treat Williams or whoever the fuck it was. This is the Denmark one. The original title was Vikaren. This was put out. Remember when Ghost House Pictures was around, and they would always have those DVDs with the slip cover with the ghost screaming on the corner and that, and they were kind of hit and miss, kind of like those 10 Movies to Die For and all those other collections they would do. This is one I actually liked in there. I remember liking. I didn't really like it as much this time around, but I still enjoyed it. You can't watch the original language version on the Ghost House DVD I had, so I had to watch it with this really bad dubbing, and I think that's what really kind of took me out of it, because it is a Dutch film. But what you have is a school, and a tragedy befalls the teacher of this class, and they find out they're going to get this substitute in. Well, the substitute is this strange space alien. She kind of looks like a young Ling Shay, which was odd, with like long blonde hair. But she's now the teacher of the school. She's an alien. All the kids know that she's an alien, but the parents won't believe her. And she's got this giant metal sphere that like floats around behind her, kind of like the tall man's phantasm ball, but it doesn't do anything anywhere that cool. She's just like psychically linked to it. This is an oddball film. It's kind of toes the line on being like a semi-comedy, but not like fully dipping its feet in. I think that's kind of where it lost me the second time around. Was it's like, horror comedy is not easy to do. And I think if they would have just made it a straight horror movie, I would have liked it a little bit better. But with that being said, I mean, it was a pretty entertaining flick. A lot of kids getting killed in this one as well. So trigger warning on that, because like the students are like 12. So it's a bunch of children and they're getting mashed up by this ball. But aside from that, it's a pretty interesting film. I tried to look up to see if it was streaming anywhere, and it's not. I'm not even sure if you can buy it anywhere anymore. I just went into my DVD collection because I remembered this, and I was like, yeah, I remember that being an interesting film. I'll talk about that. But with that being said, I would recommend it. I give it 3. It's worth a watch. I'll probably never watch it again. I know that the 2 times for me was enough. Maybe I'll send it off to Mike Burns. You can put it on top of 15 copies of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm pretty sure I've never seen the Dutch movie Substitute. Have you seen this one, Kelly?
I don't believe I have.
I don't think anyone has. Like, even when I went to Letterboxd, normally I have a lot of people in my Letterboxd, and like normally there's reviews for almost everything I watch. Like, I saw that you had seen The Dead Ones when I went to. I was like, and then I had to look and see your activity to see if you did it recently. I thought, I was like, oh shit, he's going to do this one too. But yeah, it seems like this movie just doesn't exist to anybody. Like, I tried looking up information on it, nothing. The guy's only made one American film. He made a Dutch movie called Night Watch, and then he remade it in the U.S. with Ewan McGregor like a few years later. I remember watching that when I was younger and liking that. But yeah, this movie kind of just doesn't exist out there.
That's wild. And I always appreciate that when you see something that is actually hard to find on IMDb and Letterboxd and all that. That's kind of a good feeling, you get that rare gem that, now that we've talked about it, people will probably be searching out that DVD or the physical copy of it if they like what you're saying. But that's very exciting, I'd want to check that out. That sounds like a good time. Killer Kelly Miller, report to the principal's office with what you've been watching next.
Oh, shit. Good one.
Before we all go to detention.
This one, I went kind of in the same vein that you just did, Germ. I went Urban Legend 1998. I believe this is on Tubi. Directed by Jamie Blanks, who also did Valentine, which you can tell.
Valentine was awesome.
I love
revisited
Valentine.
that recently. And I remembered it being kind of mediocre when I first watched it, and when I revisited it, I was like, "Wow, this is actually a really good movie."
Yeah, man, I watched it when we were for Miles of Madness. Like, I think I reviewed it then, and I was like, "Dude, this is actually fucking awesome." Yeah, Urban Legend wasn't that bad either. Like, this actually stood up for me. I haven't seen it since early 2000s or some shit. You remember it being kind of cheesy, a lot like a lot of the other ones that came out at the time. I Know What You Did Last Summer, like Valentine. There was a lot popping up, but I don't know. This one holds up. It's got a pretty decent cast. We've got Jared Leto. Fucking Robert Englund is in this one. Danielle Harris from Halloween 4 and 5. Little Jamie Lloyd. And Josh Jackson, I don't know if you remember him, Dawson's Creek guy, I think, that just seems to have disappeared after fucking 2003 or some shit.
Popped up in like movies for like 2-3 years, and it was always like these kind of like urban legendy. Yeah. Remember the Skulls? It was in the Skulls. It was all stuff like that. Then poof, gone.
But anyway, this takes place at a college. Professor Wexler, Robert Englund, is, teaching the students about folklore and urban legends, and he's talking about the myths, including one myth of a somebody that killed a psych professor, murdered 6 students 25 years previous. So he's talking about that. And then murders start happening, and Natalie, it's following this girl Natalie. She's kind of putting together like, oh my god, like it's all the urban legends we've been being told. So like one by one, all of her friends are fucking dying in all these weird urban legend ways. Like, like the couple on the beat or the couple in their car at night and the dude goes to check it out. And he's like being hung. Like there's some great kills in this movie and there's a good twist at the end. I had fun with this one and I would watch it again. I would recommend this. I gave it 3.5. And if I give this 3.5, that means I got to lower the last one that I watched to like a 2.5 because this one's.
Fair enough. That urban legend is actually one that I didn't watch when it first came out because I was, the horror market was oversaturated with those teen slasher movies. But now I kind of want to go back and check it out because, like both of you said, I thoroughly enjoyed Valentine. And, I'm going back and watching I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's different. It's a totally different sort of like film than Scream is. It's more of a giallo to me. It had a very Italian feel, I thought. So I would definitely be willing to go back and check out Urban Legend. You said that you think it's streaming on Tubi, or is it streaming?
Yeah, I believe I watched it either on Tubi or Pluto. But I don't know. It's almost like going back to watch these like late 90s, early 90s movies. It's almost like an era of horror that most people just like kind of brush over because like especially if you're our age, you just remember it all being kind of cheesy and all hitting you at once. But dude, go back and watch some of these. They're actually good and they do kind of hold up. Like don't fucking pass on 90s era cheesy horror movies,
Yeah, no, I totally agree because I've been digging what we've been watching. I say we like I got a mouse in my pocket. But good times, definitely 97, 98, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But let's keep the train rolling before we got to go to study hall because if we get caught without a hall pass, we might have to go to detention.
Oh shit, we're all going to detention here soon.
We're all going to detention soon. But the next movie I'm going to talk about is the 2012 very female-centric vampire movie, Byzantium. Now, I watched this. I know that similarly to Detention, I know that I watched this back when I was still drinking, and I don't remember anything about it. So rewatching it, I was actually amazed at how beautiful this film is. Anybody who hasn't seen Byzantium, it's about residents of a coastal town learn with deathly consequences the secret shared by two mysterious women who have sought shelter in their rundown hotel. That's a horrible synopsis of this film because it's just a gorgeous movie with fantastic acting. And I lumped it into this back to school special because it's when the younger sister, Eleanor, she tries to sort of like be part of society. She doesn't want to like lean into the whole vampire lifestyle of killing people. She mostly kills, she primarily kills only old people, elderly folks in hospice that are like ready to go. But they're in this coastal town, they're on the run, and she goes back to school. And while she's at school, she is in a creative writing class, and her teacher gives them an assignment of writing about their real life. Well, she writes about her vampire life. And of course, he thinks that like this is all an allegory and she has an abusive family, an abusive home. But she didn't only show her teacher this story. She told her new boyfriend / friend Frank, who it's a beautiful movie if you haven't seen it. But it just had so much going on, and like the gore was great. It reminded me a lot of like the old sort of British Gothic films, and I just sort of always appreciate that. Is this a school movie? Yes, because it takes.
Oh no, that was for Kelli a while back.
Yeah.
On her first one where she didn't mention school.
School's cool. Yeah. So after they read this story, her mother, her mother decides that she needs to go and kill the teacher and kill her boyfriend Frank, and it becomes this whole big whirlwind of like vampires hunting vampires because before her mother, Clara, had become a female vampire and she took it upon herself to become a female vampire. It was only men who could be vampires. It's like a brotherhood. And so now they're trying to hunt down these female vampires and kill them. So it's a wild movie. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. If you would like to check out Byzantium, it's on Plex, Pluto TV, and Tubi. I was lucky to pick up a copy on Blu-ray for $8 from Dark Sky Films at Flashback Weekend. So I'm looking forward to digging into the extras on that. But before I keep rambling on, have either of you guys seen Byzantium?
I feel like I have, but I might have also been drinking when I seen it. So, yeah. But that sounds real familiar. The name sounds familiar. I can picture the cover. I feel like I have. I don't remember well enough to give it a proper rating, though.
I have not. It's a movie I have always been curious about, and I've almost watched a million times. I'll probably pull the trigger after hearing you talk about it. It's one of those ones where, like, the name and cover always intrigued me, and I kind of was like, what's this about? Like, it looks kind of like Nadja, where it's gonna be like kind of like an art house vampire flick. But no, I haven't seen it. I am curious, so I probably am going to check it out.
Now, what am I thinking of? What's the label? Classic British
Hammer.
Yes, it's very much like a Hammer film, like an old Hammer film. So I gave it 4.5, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's gorgeous and brutal, and very smart and well done. So if you haven't seen Byzantium, definitely go check it out. 4.5 stars from me. Let's keep this train rolling because we got to get to band practice after detention.
Gosh.
So Ruthless Chris, I see you're already in detention. I like your background screen. Very exciting. Back to school with Ruthless Chris.
So this is one I watched a couple weeks back. I actually watched it with Kelli, but it fits the theme, and I didn't get to talk about it last episode because if you remember correctly, I had to like choose which ones I wanted to talk about because it had been so long since we had recorded. But this one does fit the theme. This is The Unnamable from 1988 by Jean-Paul Ouliet. The only other thing he's made is a sequel to this and what looks to be a really awesomely bad kung fu movie called The Chinese Connection. This one, it says it's based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, but I mean, that's whenever they say that, you always got to go loosely. I think they get to say that because it takes place at Miskatonic University, like all his shit does. What you have here, this was an odd duck. I kind of enjoyed it, but I was kind of bored with it at the same time. What you have is a group of 3 friends. There's like this abandoned house behind their college. They're hanging out in front of it, and the one friend's telling the lore of the house and that don't go in there because there's something so insane that lives in there that it's unnamable. And if you look through it, it's been there for so long that its face is imprinted in the glass. And if you look at this glass, you'll see the unnamable's face. And the one guy is like, yeah, bullshit, I'm going in. And the other guy's like, fuck that. And they both leave. Well, the one guy never comes back. So the one buddy starts worrying about him, starts talking to his other buddy, like, yo, we got to go back there. We got to see if, something's wrong. He's like, why? He's going to punk us, yada, yada, yada. They're like, well, what if he's hurt in there? What if he fell down or hurt himself? We got to go check him out. Then simultaneously, there's also these horny college girls and horny college boys that are looking for a place to throw a party. So they're going to go check out this place at the exact same time. So there's your body count. They get there. The Unnamable locks them in and starts, taking them off one by one. It's pretty murder by numbers. The monster looks pretty cool. It had like goat legs, and it was like a witch with like a lion muzzle, and it had ram's horns. It was weird looking. A lot of decent gore. The one actor that they got to star in this thing, you could tell they went and got the most over the top like understudy of Nick Cage that they could find at the local like theater. Like everything this guy said, like it sounded like he had an accent, but no accent, and he was really pompous and over the top with everything he said. You know, like it was taking me out of the movie, but keeping me in at the same time, if that makes sense. Because like every time you'd have a scene, I'd be like, "Oh, this dude's about to chew it up." It's like watching a bad Nick Cage movie, you know, like where he's going full throttle, and you're like, "All right, I'm on board just because this is fun." Would I recommend it? Yeah, it's worth a watch. I'll probably check the sequel out because it's made by the same guy. I give it like 2.5, light 3. Watch it on Tubi. Tubi. We gotta have like a sound drop every time we say fucking Tubi. We say it so much. But yeah, I mean, I'll recommend it. It was fun. It was a good little 80s monster flick.
Very, very cool. Hey, Kelly, have you seen The Unnamable?
I don't believe I have. No.
You watched it with me 2 weeks ago.
Oh, was this when I was fucking with the fire?
No, that was from Mind Warp. This is the one we watched before. Man, you got to stay off that red wine, dog.
Is that the time I fell asleep on the couch when I went?
No, this is the time. This was where you were red wine drunk and you wouldn't shut the fuck up through the whole movie. I was kept like, dude, I'm trying to watch this. And like,
fire night. That's when I was fucking with the fire.
No, but you were fucking with the fire when we watched when I watched Mind Warp afterwards. You watched this with me, but you didn't pay attention first. Yeah, because you had a bottle and a half of wine in you.
Well, anyway, I know that I've seen it, and yeah, I don't remember much of it. I think I remember it being kind of, at least the story arc, maybe similar to Night of the Demons, but more gothic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. I gave it 2.5 stars. But Killer Kelly Miller, what you got for us?
I went with a personal favorite of mine. I love this fucking movie. This is 1987's Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Lou. Directed by Bruce Pittman. He did the Friday the 13th series. I didn't see a lot of other things that I've really seen that he's done. But, fun fact, this was originally titled, it was written and directed as The Haunting of Hamilton High, but they wanted to market it after Prom Night, the original Prom Night, which it has nothing to do with that movie. They're just similar in the sense that they both happen at prom. Anyway, Hello, Mary Lou. It follows Mary Lou. It begins with Mary Lou Maloney in 1957. She's kind of a bad girl. I love Mary Lou. She's kind of a bad girl. She's very promiscuous. She right before the prom, she's like banging some dude in the back room, and the dude Bill, who she's dating, like it seems like she has banged everybody in the school except for him, and he can't even get to like first base with her. So he gets fucking pissed. Mary Lou is very popular. She's beautiful. She's popular. She's bangs everyone. So she's promoted prom queen. As she's prom queen, Bill's up in the top of the rafter and throws a little like I don't know, firework, some sort of little stick of dynamite looking thing, but it catches her dress on fire. He didn't mean to burn her alive, but Mary Lou meets a terrible death on stage at her prom, being burnt alive. Fast forward 30 years later in the same school, Vicky, she's a good girl, she's really nice. She's nominated for prom queen, and she can't really afford a dress. She gets upstairs. It's either upstairs or in the basement, but somewhere in the high school, she stumbles across this trunk. And in the trunk, when she opens it, she finds a tiara that belonged to Mary Lou Maloney. Well, excuse me. This releases Mary Lou's spirit, and she wants to fucking seek revenge on everybody in the fucking school. So after killing a couple of people, Vicky becomes basically possessed by Mary Lou and pretty much becomes her. This movie is fucking awesome. There are great kills in it. The principal later, 30 years later, is what's his name? Bill.
Michael Ironside.
Yeah, Michael Ironside. His name's Bill. But yeah, Michael Ironside plays the principal. I love this fucking movie. I would highly recommend it. I give it a 4.5. It's everything you like about 80s movies. It reminds me a lot of like some Nightmare on Elm Street movies because there's some dream sequences and shit like that going on with Vicky where she just can't like get Mary Lou out of her head, and the death of her friend that wasn't that like a paper cutter or some shit? That was a good death. But yeah, this movie's great. It also has like elements of Carrie. It reminded me, but a lot more fast-paced and fun, I think.
It felt like they took like every successful horror movie from the 80s and just tried to mash it into this one fucking movie, and somehow it turned out to be awesome.
Oh, it fucking worked. It worked so well. But
definitely
you can watch
Heavy Nightmare on Elm Street.
What was
Heavy
that?
Nightmare on Elm Street influence for sure.
Very heavy Nightmare on Elm Street influence. Like from the scene with the mirror and stuff, and like just the weird dreamy sequences. Definitely high, like very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street. In those scenes, anyway. It does its own thing, though, for sure.
Yeah, I as well am a big fan of Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Sue. And I've been seeing a lot more interest and a lot more chatter about this film on social media and different horror websites and stuff. And I'm glad because I never really checked it out. And what is it? Where did you watch it?
Shudder. It's on Shudder right now. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
I think I watched it on Shudder probably last year. And it surprised me how much I love this movie because the original Prom Night, like you said, though, it has nothing to do with each other.
No.
Besides the title alone. I'm not a huge fan of the original Prom Night. So
I like this one way more. This one's way better.
This one's funny and campy, and it has those puns. I love a punny.
See you later, alligator.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't. I'd have to recommend Prom Night 2 as well. As a fun movie. I'd have to look up what star rating I gave it, but I'm going to give it 4. I'll go on record as saying 4 right now. To our recording audience out there in Real Vile Land. Real Vile High. Return to Real Vile High. Do. All right. Well, I've got one last movie. One more time before we get to our big spoiler film.
We're going to Detention.
Wow, I got one more movie until we get to Detention. It is actually not a horror movie. It's not really a genre movie at all, but every horror movie fan loves this movie. It is 1987's directed by Carl Reiner, Summer School. And if you've seen this movie, you'll understand why every horror movie fan loves this movie. I actually believe that I've got my whole personality from this film. But the premise is Freddie, the gym teacher, has to teach remedial English in high school summer school, and if he wants to be tenured. As he can only teach gym and his students want fun, emphasis is on field trips until he's fired unless his students pass the test. It kind of has a classic 80s setup. But the thing that makes this, horror centric or loved by horror fans are the two characters, Chainsaw and Dave. These two guys, I don't think I'd even thought about watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre until these two characters in this movie kept going on and on about how great a film this was. And, before that, I'd seen part 2. I loved part 2, and I was good with that because I'd always heard, what is this, 87? So I was 9 years old anyway. But when I saw these cool dudes that I thought were cool dudes, at least, keep going on and on about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I knew that I had to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I had to be a cool dude like Dave and Chainsaw. And then there's there's multiple scenes where, they do special effects on each other and on their classmates, trying to prank their other classmates and their teachers and stuff. And it's, it's a very, not very, but it's got horror moments and horror fan moments that fans of horror will never forget and will definitely like myself, attribute their fandom to. That's why I had to bring up Summer School, the 1987 comedy, for this episode. It's not available for streaming really anywhere except for $3.99 on Prime Video. Otherwise, you got to buy a physical copy, which I had no problem doing because I wanted this in my collection anyway. Shout Factory, Scream Factory, or Shout Factory did a collector's edition. So when I have the time, I'm definitely going to delve into the extras on this. I'm going to take 2 seconds and figure out to what rating did I give Summer School. I gave it a 4 stars. It's definitely a 4-star movie, and I love it. But have you guys seen Summer School?
Dude, not in so many years, but like I definitely I'm familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one quite a few times. That's when I was growing up. For some reason, my dad was interviewed on HBO, and they gave him a box of VHSs, and that's where I got Watchers from. That Sasquatch movie we love. There was just like this weird box of tapes, and it was one of the tapes, so I ended up watching it a bunch when I was younger. And yeah, I think that's actually what got me to rent Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. So yeah, quality flick. Maybe not a horror flick, but definitely worth checking out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, 100%. Go and watch Summer School. Get yourself a copy of that bad boy. But here we go. I'm not going to make any more puns because I'm all out of puns. Let's just get to the fun. It is time to talk about 2011's Detention.
And now for our feature presentation.
Oh my goodness gracious gravy. This was a movie that, once again, I'm sure I watched around when it first came out, but I didn't remember anything about it, so I'm pretty sure I was probably drunk when I first watched it. Rewatching it now, I'm glad I did, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm glad that Chris suggested this film for our back to school special. If you're not familiar with the film, it's about a copycat killer named after the movie villain Cinder Heller stalks a student body at Grizzly Lake High School. A group of co-eds band together to survive while serving detention. It's a lot more to it than that, and a lot.
I would say that's like the least of what it's about.
That's such a loose description of what this is about, you know?
Yes, I agree. It is very wacky. It is very wild. There were points in it where, it became like so sort of self-aware and breaking the fourth wall that I thought it was like one of those parody movies, like not another teen movie or scary movie or something. But then at other times, it became something totally original onto itself. And those were the moments that I liked the most about it. I definitely enjoyed the sci-fi aspects, the time travel. Like once they got to the time traveling and it kind of got into that whole, what am I thinking of? Happy Death Day 2, the sequel to Happy Death Day, where they got into the time travel stuff. This reminded me of that, and I think that came out well after this one, didn't it?
Yeah. I believe this was 2011, and Happy Death Day probably wasn't until 2016 or something.
Yeah, so definitely a fun movie. And like the whole self-aware stuff and the critique of horror movies or teen slasher movies, especially, gave strong Scream vibes. And the cast was great. The soundtrack was cool. What did you guys think about Detention?
I thought this was really fun, man. It had a lot of twists. I really liked the way it was filmed. How they went into like the background of each character, and like especially the kid that you didn't know, nobody noticed being there. Like he's actually got a huge part in the movie. Like he's got a lot to do with what is going on with the whole like, dude. There's time travel. There's fucking monsters. This movie's
Aliens.
all aliens, but it
Slasher.
like. Yeah, it is a slasher. They do great at.
They do a Freaky Friday thing at one point.
Yeah, they do. They do that. Oh yeah. With that girl, with the '90s girl and her mom.
Yeah, and it's banging Dane Cook.
Banging Dane Cook's in it. That's right. That's right.
Dane Cook's in this fucking thing. But I think this was like when Dane Cook could do no wrong, you know, before like people like were finally fucking just over his shit. Like, I think this is like the height of his popularity, kind of Dane Cook.
Yeah, I can see that. No, I really enjoyed this. It is all over the place, but they do a really good job at keeping it the fuck together, you know? Unlike the first movie I watched, which was kind of all over the place, but then there's parts that they forgot. No, they wrap it all up beautifully in this movie, and it's a fucking blast.
You know, this is one of those movies I'm glad I had seen before, because when I rewatched it, I forgot how much I did not like the opening, and I thought it was going to be kind of like, you know, like a Rules of Attraction, you know, like super self-aware, just teeny bopper movie, but they kind of ditched that pretty quick.
Yeah, they did. That's what I thought when it started out too. I was like, I don't know. And then it got fun, dude, you know?
It felt like the longer it got, the wackier they would, like the bigger wacky swings they would take. Like, it didn't really ramp up that much in the beginning.
No.
And then out of nowhere, you got aliens abducting time traveling bears, and you got fucking you got time travel. There's the fucking body swap thing. God, there's so much going on. And I mean, it's pretty solid on the gore too. You know, I mean, like, they don't pull any punches on the gore. It's really fucking bloody. Funny as shit. You know, like the humor actually lands.
It does.
You know, you can tell it's definitely a big product of its time.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like cool little things they did to where they made nods to like other movies that were products of their time. Like when they went in the backstory of the kid that had been into detention for 19 years, and they just went back like 3 years at a time, and it would just be like how the kids dressed in and what the major song would be at the time.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how they cleared all the music for this. Well, it turns out why this guy only made like 4 feature-length movies. He's like the go-to guy for people to do music videos. Like, he is mostly a music video director, and he does a lot of stuff like DJ Khaled and Eminem and shit like that. And oddly enough, the other movie directed, remember Torque? The ripoff of Fast and Furious, but it was on motorcycles with Ice Cube.
I don't know if I've seen it, but I can picture the case of it, you know, working at Allied.
Talk about like a completely different tonal thing. No, I mean, this is movies like one of a kind. It's either you'll love it or you hate it. I don't think there's like any in between on this. It is very tongue in cheek. It's very fucking fun. A lot of characters, but like they flesh out all the characters. You know, like everyone. You know, you understand who they are and like what's going on, and their motivations and shit. Even when they start flipping to make it weird, like the one girl that switched with her mom, who was the alcoholic, so that her mom could go back and win the dance contest, and she had to go back to 92.
Yeah.
Like, and I like when she goes back to 92, she opens up her eyes, and just standing over top of her is a punk in a fishbone shirt, because I have that fucking fishbone shirt. Yeah, everything about this fucking movie is I mean, it's a great time. This is a party movie, you know, like this is the kind of thing you throw on when some friends are over and stuff, and just be like you won't believe where this thing fucking goes.
Yeah,
by the end of it
doesn't take itself too seriously. You're right. By the end of it.
I mean, by the end of it, you're just like, what the fuck? You know? The time travel. There's a lot of time travel in this movie out of nowhere, and they do not introduce it until like 3/4 the way in.
Yeah, I felt like the third act of this film really saved it, because otherwise I was just like, okay, it's a parody film, okay, it's wacky. But then the third act, where it got into all the sci-fi wackiness with the time traveling and the alternate timelines, I thought really saved this and made it unique. And I really enjoyed that. You know, it came across as more than just a teen comedy and more than just a teen horror movie. It was, you know, a very weird and fun genre film, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. So this was definitely a good idea there, Chris.
Yeah, good call on this one. I highly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of knew what I was throwing you guys into ahead of time, and that's why I didn't say shit about it, because I wanted to see how it would land with you guys individually. But I was like, I was curious about you, Germ. I knew Kelly would like it, but I didn't know how it would land with you. And I'm really happy to hear that you had a lot of fun with it because it is a fun movie. Like I knew I was sending you guys down a wild fucking path with this one.
Yeah, I'm glad you did because I don't think I've ever seen it before this.
And at first I didn't think I'd like it, to be honest. I like the opening credits because it reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite, and that's one of my favorite comedies. And I was ready to throw in the towel a couple times. I was just like, okay, so it's very self-aware, it's very Scream-esque. But yeah, that third act, man, really saves this film. And I gave it 4 stars. What do you guys give it?
Yeah, I'd say 3.5, 4. Yeah.
I'd give it 4 just because I really like when movies take big swings like this. Like I would have loved to see in the script he tried to fucking sell around for this fucking thing. Like, any financier reading through is like, all right, wait a minute. Now the bear that's making them travel through time bites the killer in the head. Okay. I know. No money for you. Like it feels like someone's NyQuil fever dream. Like, you ever been like all hopped up on cold medicine, but you had a horror movie going in the background and like you remember just parts of it and like your brain's all swirling trying to make sense of it? It's like if that was going on while at the same time like a fucking American Pie movie was playing like in one eyeball and then a horror movie in the other and you're just zonked out on NyQuil. Like it just like it's a brain scramble of a movie.
That's a pretty fucking legit description of this movie, actually. Dude.
And the worst part is, so I watched Detention again today, and then I followed it up with The Dead Ones, which was a complete and total fucking change of pace. Like, like the Detention was all fun and games and having a good time, and then The Dead Ones was like, wow, this is intense and a bummer.
Before we get going, I love how the main character, she kept saying, well, at least I'm not as bad as that one girl 10 years ago or whatever it was in the 90s that got caught blowing the school mascot. And then it turned out that was her.
Yep.
It's such a funny how they were able to layer these things and that was you and that your mother gave birth to you. You gave birth to your mother. I don't even know how to explain that part where like the mother and the daughter switch bodies and timelines, and the daughter got knocked up in the 90s. She gives birth to herself.
It's such a fucked up concept, dude. I know. I was like, what?
Fun stuff.
It is fun.
But anyways, I give it 4 stars. Everybody, pretty much a 4-star film.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck it. Yeah, 4 stars.
Yeah, 4.
Let's
4
do
stars.
it.
Let's throw out the stars.
Blah, 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 actually. Yeah.
Stars for everybody. But yeah, if you want to check out Detention, it is streaming for free on Tubi, or if you don't want to watch commercials, you can pay the $3.99 to watch on a Prime Video. That's it for our back to school ghoul cool episode, and we're gonna get you a Detention so you can get to softball practice, you nerds.
Recess, bitch.
Get the recess. You guys got any parting words for all those people out there in real Violand?
No. Nope. You guys have a good night. No, Chris, you're just
keep it sleazy. And by the time you hear this Monday, Christine will play again the coming Wednesday, and that will be our movie next week. So if you want to enjoy the spoiler talk, go see yourself some Christine. It is also on Netflix. So, but it would be cool to see that in theaters. So that they are putting that in theaters.
I think Peacock just released like 25 movies, or they're about to, for their Halloween, and Christine's on there too. So if it's not already, it will be on Peacock soon as well.
Very, very cool. 1983 is Christine next week. Get ready for that. But in the meantime, keep it spooky, keep it creepy, keep it real vile forever, and God bless America. Send nudes. Out.